Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the World Figure Skating Championships, coming to you from Helsinki. Rather chilly over there, but we hope we can provide some hot entertainment for you. Two young Australians are doing exactly that at the moment. Tell us all about Danielle and Trent.
Well, Danielle Rigg-Smith and Trent Bond are really babies in this field of ice dancing at the world level. She's only 18 and just finished her HSC, and Trent is 19, and they are a really hot prospect, I think, for the long-term life of Australian ice dancing, but they have a long way to go. They have a long way to go in speed and technique, and they're doing everything they can to become as good as they can.
And they've got some fierce competition. I mean, the battle that's going on between the Canadians, the Europeans and the Russians, the drama with judges, where's it all going to end? And is it going to end?
Well, every event gets closer for the French against the Russians, and of course the Canadians are knocking on the door as well.
Can I say something too?
Yes.
I think you're in the French camp, or is it the Canadians?
Oh,
I think you've got a foot in each one.
probably.
But nonetheless, it is very tight, isn't it?
Yes, and it's exciting to watch, and that's what really counts.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch these young Australians in the years ahead, especially if they can make it to Salt Lake City. But firstly, let's see how they qualified for the Worlds.
For Danielle Rigg-Smith and Trent Bond, the trip to Worlds is a result of this performance at the Four Continents Championships in Halifax, Canada. Where they convinced the Australian officials that they were good enough to start their international world career. At only 19 and 18 years of age, they have so far to go. Their strength at the moment is in their free dance. Well, particularly when you see them against world champions and Olympic medalists who've been on the world scene for 10 years, let alone however long they've been skating together. You see a team that's so new. Oh, yes. And handling it and smiling.
Yeah.
So many could go out and, you know, not even enjoy the moment. I think they've been able to find a way to really enjoy what they do and improve as they go along. Their coach, Anzo Richardson from Macquarie Ice Rink, is doing everything she can to get this team up there. And here they are in the World Championships in their compulsory dance, the Paso Doble, made famous in Strictly Ballroom. They've started training with four-time world champion and just absolute renowned expert in particularly compulsory dances, and in fact the whole idea of what makes a dance champion. Bernard Ford, the English world champion, but is now lives in America. And Bernard comes to Australia to coach Danielle and Trent, and they're going to be making a few trips. In a compulsory dance, is really the strength of the edge, technique, overall unison is so important.
And Belinda, what's going to come with experience is the display of emotion.
Well, yes, at 18, I mean, how much emotion are you able to actually create between a couple? That's time and speed. They really need speed. Do what they're doing at twice the speed they're going now. But I think that they are great prospects for the future.
Yes, well, they look as though they should still be at school, without being harsh, but that is a fantastic start to their international career. We wish them well. They have not been overawed by being in this sort of company, and they are amongst the absolute best. Look at those two young faces. Hey, we're first. Steady on, though. It's a little early. But well done to Trent and Danielle. No, they're not bad. They're not bad. We're flying the Australian flag. We're happy. That is great. Now, I said they're up against some big names. And here is Anjelika Krylova and Oleg Ovsiannikov.
Defending world champions and European champions in a controversial decision.
Rarely has a smile off her face.
And for the first time, they're able to use vocals. You can see the difference. In strength and maturity, and you see with these two couples.
Here's one of your favourite couples, Anissina and Peizerat.
I am so impressed with this team this season. I think they were so close with Bourne and Kraatz, but now this team have really come on and just challenging. I've always thought that this waltz was a bit more dancing and done in more of a waltz fashion than the Russians had done. And here is Bourne and Kraatz, who's the first time we've seen them this season, skating to another Irish song, not River Dance.
That was explosive, wasn't it? River Dance.
This is more of a ballad.
Really turning down the tempo.
Well, whilst the difficulty in the technique is there, it's very slow.
Look at this result for Marina Anissina and Gwendal Peizerat of France. They have done it.
First time ever to beat the Russians in the original dance.
What a moment.
The definition of happiness and joy, Anissina and Peizerat. Unbelievable, isn't it?
It's fantastic. I think they've deserved it for a while. Even though the Russians were excellent, the French were better, and we're pleased to see the result came out like that.
Well, the third party in this little game, of course, is the Canadians. They're going to have to pull something very special out of the hat.
And here they are, Shae-Lynn and Victor. Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz representing Canada. World bronze medalists last year. A controversial fourth in the Winter Olympics at Nagano. Let's see what they can do in these Worlds.
This free dance is choreographed by Christopher Dean and Jane Torval, who need no introduction, but Chris nicknamed this routine Heart Attack, which is what the costumes are all about. Shae-Lynn's been coping with a tendinitis injury in a foot. And I think that probably goes some way to explain the lack of vibrance in both the original dance and what I already see in this one. These sort of dances, whilst I think they're crafted brilliantly, sometimes don't get the imagination of the crowd, even though they can appreciate how difficult they are. The dramatic pieces always seem to go over a little bit better. For my money, I preferred River Dance to this, but I can see that the difficulty of the steps that they're using.
What's the lifetime, Belinda, of a routine?
Well, if it was Bolero, I could have watched it for 5 years. But my advice for this program would be to drop it and to go back to something they're more comfortable with. I don't think they look particularly comfortable with this look, but it could be more to do with her injury and not being able to train it as well as they would have liked. Pieces like this, I can see how close they are together, and they're using all of the dance holds all of the time, and they're never separated. just feel that she's struggling a little bit. But I noticed that still my biggest criticism is speed.
They're a national treasure in Canada. They've won every national title now since 1992. Just can't take that next step on the international stage.
Well, the Canadians have been far more successful in ice dance than the Americans. The Americans have only ever taken a bronze medal once in the last 10 or 15 years, where the Canadians have had Shae-Lynn and Victor Kraatz and also Tracy Wilson and Rob McCall. I think it's a matter of probably tradition with the Russians, and the French have been able to break that somewhat. Very difficult to judge ice dancing. That was a bit of a spill. Well covered. I made it.
Disappointed not to see any hydro bleeding there this time, as we saw in Nagano. But there they are, Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz.
And Victor looks like he's pretty much really close to that heart attack. Aerobically difficult program.
Scoring pretty well, although I think they would be far happier if they were a little higher. Stay with us. Coming up shortly, Anjelika Krylova and Oleg Ovsiannikov.
We've got a problem, John. No one believes it.
Welcome back. And now we're watching Marina Anissina and Gwendal Peizerat. What a world championship they are having to date. The man in the Iron Mask. Remember that movie? The music by Nick Glenn Smith. Four times national champions in France. Silver medalists in last year's World Championships.
This is such a clever piece. The story is set right at the very beginning. Innovative, clever lifts right to the music. Gets the crowd and the judges in right at the beginning of the performance. Some of these held edge movements that they do are going down half the length of the rink. It's how much speed they're generating on every push that they make. These top teams do that. They're required to do a long piece of footwork, which they've just completed in a straight line. Apart from the innovative lifts, what I like so much about this particular free dance is how close they are all the time, how many different holds they use. They're continually changing holds. There's no skating apart.
Gwendal's 27.
And
oh, look at that. Look at that.
That is so innovative and requires so much strength.
27. Will he go through to Salt Lake City?
Oh, I think they should. I don't think they can disappoint the fans.
Especially if Anjelika and Oleg maybe hang up their skates. Who knows?
Well, they may go on to the professional circuit where they don't feel restricted by eligible rules. But it's these events which stretch the choreographic abilities of the skaters and the technical requirements. Very difficult passage of footwork there. And so close. Moving into the last part of the program, and the intensity is still there. And they know they've given it their all. What can Krylova and Ovsiannikov do to top this?
I don't know, but they're going to have to find something.
Will the gold be theirs?
Outstanding in the original and outstanding to the music from the man in the iron mask, Marina Anissina and Gwendal Peizerat of France. Oh, they have won this crowd here at Helsinki.
Well, this is going to be very interesting. They didn't make any errors. There's probably more intensity and more drama in this performance than there was in Europeans. This is such a nifty lift.
And a standing ovation as they await the scores to come through.
The crowd was so loud. They were so in their corner.
Well, that's got to make a difference to their performance too, doesn't it? With the crowd backing them. And it's just amazing.
Well, it's going to be hard for Krylova and Ovsiannikov to come after them. Big marks.
5.9s leading the way.
Not much space.
5.7s to 5.9s. And that is going to be very, very tough to beat. For Anissina and Peizerat, the only ones that can beat them are Anjelika Krylova and Oleg Ovsiannikov. And here they are now. Oleg is no spring chicken. 29 years of age. Could this be a farewell?
Well, there has been talk of it. I do like Anjelika's attack in this free dance. She's very committed to how this piece of music goes. And I think it's probably a bit of heart attack material in this drum piece. My overriding criticism of this piece of music has always been it's probably not obvious changes of pace, which is required in the rules. Doesn't mean to say in a dance you can't have a change of pace, but if it's required by the rules, I think it should be there. It's innovative, it's fresh, it's different.
And there's no doubt about Anjelika. She certainly does bring drama onto the ice.
Yes.
The drama queen, perhaps.
Well, that's their strength, as Russian couples have been before them.
Just an amazing career, these two. They have never, ever been placed lower than second in their international careers.
Well, there's the change of pace, which I think is really clever, but I think I'd prefer to see it moving. This is a piece that you like it or you don't. Very, very personal choice. They've changed the outfit since European, Sandy.
They certainly have. And you're right, it is very different, and I'm a little bit the way of Bourne and Kraatz. I must admit I preferred the other.
I prefer them more in their traditional role, but
Yeah.
I think it's... When you're creative and you're in ice dance, you have to keep stretching and trying. Because that's what progresses the sport as a whole. And other teams will follow suit and try different things, and you get a more interesting event. Never stops. Again, lots of changes of dance hold. The speed stays up.
Very sharp, very precise. Is it going to be good enough to overcome the two that received a standing ovation?
It might be dramatic, but it doesn't actually have the drama from the man from Iron Mask.
We're going to head down the Snowy River there for a moment. Well, I think it is a very brave change.
Only world champions can choose a piece like that, I think, and successfully carry it off, which I believe they feel they've done. Now it's up to the judges. Who'd want to be one of those today? I think this piece really shows a commitment. It's actually very clever dance choreography, I think, whether it be on the floor or on the ice. It would take a lot of work to put all of this together, a lot of trial and error, see what works and what doesn't. This is interesting. It shows the footwork. And I think in this case, I've always thought the Iron Mask was actually more difficult from a footwork point of view than this piece.
Oh, look at this. They've got the perfect score. The Russian judge has given them the perfect score. And they have done it again. Krylova and Ovsiannikov reign supreme. Here is the final results then, with Krylova and Ovsiannikov taking gold from Anissina and Peizerat, Bourne and Kraatz the bronze.
Well, there's an old saying in sport that you don't argue with the umpire, the judge's decision is final, etc., etc. But would I be being unfair if I suggested that Anissina and Peizerat were perhaps a little bit unlucky?
Well, I think this is a very contentious result. There's been all sorts of uproar and outcry over the years, and I think this is going to be another one. The judges have got to look long and hard at who is doing the most technically and how they're doing it artistically.
You're the expert. What did you think? Come on, don't stay on the fence. Hop off. What did you think?
I think the French are better. I think there's light and shade in the program. I think it's a better dance.
Well, the Russians have taken the gold. And speaking of gold and Russians, there's one coming up after this break.